All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me to learn how to make a crow fly. What does that even mean? Is he even talking about yoga? Yes, I am. So I wanted to break down pose and arm balance. And what you'll find inside this arm balance, it's called crow. It's like probably the foundational arm balance of all arm balances. It's like the one that sets up all the other ones. And what's really cool about it is, and what I want to show you today is there's this like one principle, this one body position that makes all arm balances accessible. And I don't care who you are, like you'll be able to do it. And so I'm going to get into that in just a little bit. So the one thing, like the one secret of how to make arm balance accessible is what I want to share. But there's all these other little details of it and these other little nuances. And if you understand it and you can apply it in crow, what will happen is that you'll start seeing where those same principles start like showing up in all of these other areas. And so it's crow. Crow is an arm balance. An arm balance simply means we are bearing the weight of the body in our arms. So I guess the first thing to say is for wrist and shoulder safety, you got to understand two principles. One, the 20 points of the hands, and two, how to integrate and stabilize the shoulder. Now, the 20 points of the hands, what are they? They are, in each hand, there's 10 points, so altogether 20. They're the fingertips and the upper pads of the hands. And so, if you have a moment, you can do it on your desk, you can do it on the floor, you can do it anywhere. If you plant your palm down and try, with your palm planted, lifting the fingertips up, lifting the fingers up, and then applying pressure down, what you're going to feel is a ton of pressure in the wrist itself. Now, when you do that, when you start activating the 10 points of the hands, what you're doing is you're first activating the upper pads and then the fingertips. So 5 upper pads, 4, 5 fingertips. Those 10 points, so if your palm is grounded and you're lifting and you're putting pressure in the wrist, you'll feel how much pressure is in the wrist itself. So the first thing we do is we ground the upper pads and then the fingertips. And when you now apply that same amount of pressure, but with those 10 points of the hands grounded, what you're going to feel is a hollowing out. Literally, like this palm, right, is pulling and lifting. This is what it looks like. And when you do that, what you're doing is you're stabilizing the muscles around the wrist, which allows the wrist to stay more protected. Because their arm balances are weights bearing, and so it's important. Wrist, we always start in any type of flow class when we know we're going to be on our arms a lot with some wrist therapy, with some range of motion to warm the wrists up because they're so crucial. Next thing, there's 2 ways of integrating the shoulder. Because you're bearing weight bearing increases risk of injury, and so what we need to do is wrap the tricep and set the shoulder blade on the back. What you're doing when you do that is you're actually stabilizing all of these areas of the shoulder itself. You're snugging the head of the shoulder as you wrap the tricep into the socket, and when the shoulder blade hugs onto the back, what you're doing is you're stabilizing the posterior delts, which is super important in the stabilization of the shoulder joint in an arm balance when you're bearing weight. But there's something unique about this with crow specifically that I'll talk about in just a second. So now, what's the basic body position? So when John and I do our teacher trainings, we actually have one this weekend going on, and it's the second one that we'll be doing virtually. It's kind of cool, a little sad, but kind of cool. Oh, by the way, if that just made sense to you with the hand and the shoulder and the stabilization, will you hit a like or a love button for me so I know that you're following, you can hear me, and everything's rolling? That would be really important. If that was valuable to you, give me a like, give me a love button so that you're like, yes. Oh, and if you are watching, put a hashtag live so I know that like you're here, you're there. I can't actually see anything. I'm hoping you're there. And if you're watching this as a replay, throw a hashtag replay down below, and that would be awesome. I appreciate that. So if the fingertips, the 20 points, and the tricep wrapping, the shoulder blade on the back made sense, like and love, that would be awesome. Okay, so now, basic body position. When we do teacher trainings and we break down poses, every single pose is broken down this way. We go, what's the basic body position? Literally, it's like, where are my arms, where are my legs supposed to be? Then it's how do you modify? Then it's how do you go deeper? And finally, it's what's the deepest expression look like? So I'm going to take crow through that very same framework. The basic body position is this. Well, first, before I get to the basic body position, where we usually set up is in a prayer squat position. It's called garland pose. Why? Because this sets up the basic body position. What I'll have you notice is here, where the knees are in relationship to the triceps, the arms, on either side, you're basically already set up. So what you're doing at the beginning level, here's the beginning basic body position, the elbows go wide. Why? Because you're creating with the shin muscle and the humerus bone, the upper arm bone, an X. This creates more surface area so that when you lift the hips, you now have so much more surface area of the shin resting on the back of the arm that it's easier to balance initially when you're newer. So the elbows can go a little wider this way to get the shins on the arms. Totally fine. Now, you do want to reintegrate the elbows, but I'll talk about that in a second. So that's the basic body position, the setup of the arms and the legs. Next level, once you're here, is to lift the hips so that you can start getting the shins higher up the arms. That's the way to modify, keeping the feet grounded, and the way to work deeper. Now, as you start working towards a deepening of the experience, here's the common principle of all arm balances. I don't care what they are. This is it. It's Chaturanga Arm Position. What is Chaturanga Arm Position? It is when your shoulders are forward and you're creating roughly a 90-degree angle at the elbow. It's the motion forward into your Chaturanga Arm Position that unweights the feet. This is what most people think and why they just get stuck in crow is they think as they lift the hips, once they get the knees situated, if they just lift the hips high enough and high enough and high enough, they'll eventually get there. And it's not true. You won't. You can keep the hips lower, which is actually what we prefer teaching, and then notice what happens. Shoulders forward, shoulders forward, shoulders forward, shoulders forward, shoulders forward. Oh, the hips didn't lift. The shoulders went forward. As the shoulders went forward, that lifted the hips, but more importantly, that's what unweighted the feet. If that makes sense, give me a hashtag following. You're following me. It's so important. Just that Chaturanga arm position. If that made sense to you and that light bulb went off, comment hashtag following so I know you're catching, you're staying with me. So here's the problem. That may be great, great, Chris, awesome, Chaturanga arms, slide the shoulders forward. You made it look so easy. I can't do that because I'm going to fall on my face. So here's the key. Here's how you lean in to the fear of falling on your face, knowing that you'll be supported. There's two ways of doing this. The first is just place blocks in front of you or pillows in front of you. Now, I'm using blocks and pillows because I don't have a wall, but if you wanted to, where the edge of these blocks are could be where your wall is. So there's two ways of leaning into the fear of falling forward by diminishing the fear, knowing that you're going to be supported. So check this out. It takes a little bit to set it up to know exactly where these need to be, and I don't know if I'm going to need 2 or 3. I'll probably just need 2. Maybe I'll go this one higher. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so I got to set it up, and I'm not sure how far away that's going to be because I don't know your proportion. I don't know how long your arms are, legs are, upper torso. But once you've gotten this set and you start coming forward, you want your head to land the moment you feel like the toes are going to lift. So you can lean weight into your head and lift your feet and be like, whoa, I'm doing crow. And then once you're there, you just lift the head and lower, lift the head and lower. Super important because then, guess what? If you have blocks or you have pillows, you know you're not going to pitch forward because you have a soft, cushy thing to land on. And honestly, you're not that high up, right? You're not falling off of a building. You got like a couple feet. And if you put blocks down or pillows down, it's going to help you gain the confidence to work the Chaturanga arm position and unweight the feet. Cool. So, beginning level. What do you do next? Because some of you are like, I got crow, maybe I've gotten some tidbits here and there from the breakdown you just did, but what's the next level for me? The next level is slowly working the knees behind the armpits and the arms straighter. So this is so we've gone through what's the basic body position. We've gone through how to deepen, and we're kind of living in how to deepen. So right now, how do you deepen? Next level is, instead of creating this big X with the shins and the upper arms, pull the knees so that they're right behind the triceps. What you'll notice now is that the shins and the forearms, or the upper arms, are more parallel to each other, but that the knees are snug right into the armpits themselves. And this is why, because when you do that, you now have the ability of taking it to that next level. Next level is arm straightening. So check this out. Instead of this, you're now here. And once you've got the squeeze happening, this is what's really cool. When you do that, when you pull the knees in, it automatically wraps the triceps and helps to integrate the shoulders. Super cool. So the knees squeeze in. Now, as I slide, notice chaturanga arms, chaturanga arms, chaturanga arms, boom, feet lift. Once you feel you're there, fingertips, upper pads of the hands, triceps wrapping, shoulder blades onto the back. Now, next level is to straighten the arms. Notice what's required in the wrists. Arms are straight, wrists have crazy extension happening. That's why we do wrist flows. What happens here is then you're able to do press-ups into handstands, jump backs into your chaturangas, yada, 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 all the fancy gymnastic-y stuff. That doesn't really matter, but it's fun occasionally. Remember, we're not here to do gymnastics. We're here to explore the body, have fun, but not lose the point of the practice, which is to be able to feel youthful and live our lives abundantly and passionately. If you feel me on that one, do hashtag who cares about crow. Hashtag who cares about crow. Because we care, but we don't care. This is the balance of it. So what was required for that deepest expression, what I just showed you was the deepest expression of crow. Knees behind the armpits, arms straight. And what that does, it gives you the ability to transition back and forth. So here's what's really important. Here's the last thing I'll leave you with. You hear a lot of exactly what I said. Hug the shoulder blades in. What happens in crow is a natural protraction of the shoulder blades because the core is strong. You're literally rounding. As you round, the shoulder blades come off of the back. So when I say hug the shoulder blades, please don't misunderstand that the shoulder blades have to be retracted as if you're in a mountain pose position. You're working the action of hugging the shoulder blades in because of what it does to stabilize the posterior delts, the backs of the shoulders. So allow the spine to round, because it's the nature of the position-ish, like it's not crazy like this, but it's enough. And wrap the triceps. Don't try to keep the shoulder blades pulling onto the back as if they're actually going to do it. Do the action of that so that you get the muscular engagement that's required to keep the shoulder safe. And this is what I mean. I'll go this way because I think you'll be able to see it more. Notice as I come forward, the shoulder blades are pulling towards the sides of my body. That's called protraction. I'm not trying to integrate them completely. I'm hugging the shoulder blades in to support the shoulders that are bearing the weight of my body. So just don't misunderstand the action that's actually going to take place. You're not going to get this. You're going to be here, but you're going to hug to stabilize there so that the shoulders stay safe. Okay, quick recap. First thing, knees go wide, hands ground down. Then shoulders come forward, right? Shoulders come forward, and you have blocks in front of you. For those of you who are afraid of falling on your face, all of a sudden your head lowers, feet lift, and you get to play with that. Next level, you lose the blocks because you're now strong in your core and you feel confident in your emotions, that the knees come right behind the armpits and we squeeze in, wrapping the triceps. Then you come forward. Next level, elbows are still bent. Deepest expression, arms straighten to give you the ability to transition. All the while anchoring the 10 points of each hand, wrapping the triceps, shedding the shoulder blades in so that the shoulders themselves do not get injured. They are safe and they are stabilized. That is how you make a crow fly. if you have any questions, please put them down below. If this was valuable to you, if you got some tidbits, put #value for me, so I know. It's really important, like without you being here and like seeing the facial expressions and all that stuff, it's important, like we don't just like throw out comment hashtag stuff because like it makes us feel good. It actually allows us to know that what we're offering, the information we're giving, is landing in the right way for you. And so when we see like, yes, #value a bunch, we're like, okay, we'll do more of that stuff. And so if you would, whether you're watching this live or watching this as a replay, put a #value if that, like you got some tidbits and that's gonna add value to your practice and you felt like this time was worth being here and spending it with us. So anyway, that's all I got for today. That's how you make a crow fly, and I appreciate you being here and supporting us, and we love to support you, and thanks for joining this community. Thanks, everybody. Peace.